it on my phone, so I'm actually driving in traffic.
Oh, so you're not seeing the screen?
No.
Okay.
I just got off work, so that's why I got in late.
All right. We're going to start right now. All right. I believe the screen is recording. All right. So let's do this again. All right. You can mute now.
All right.
Hey, everybody. This is John Paul Agya from johnpaulagya.com. In today's webinar, we're going to talk about my Twitter chunky system, which is basically I share in chunks. And this is how I can spend less time on Twitter but see more results, because I allow my content to do more work for me by sharing in chunks. It's more efficient, and you have more free time to go do other things. Yeah, as far as you can find me at johnpaulagya.com and on Twitter at John Agya, JOHNAGUIAR. And basically with this webinar, what we're going to cover is, like I said, my chunky sharing system, which basically means I'm going to show you how to spend less time on Twitter, where you can see more results, and you have more free time to do other things, to grow your blog or business. So first I want to say who this webinar is for. It's pretty much really for anybody who's trying to use Twitter more efficiently and get more results, more traffic, more followers, more email opt-ins. But primarily bloggers, entrepreneurs, small business owners, marketers, photographers, real estate brokers. Again, anyone that's looking to promote something should watch this webinar. Now, no matter how great any training is, there's always going to be people that should not waste their time with the content. Now, who should not waste their time watching my webinar and learning the chunky system? Number one, people that are not going to put a lot of time in. If you're not going to follow the system, then it's not going to work. So if you're not willing to follow it exactly the way it's laid out, then don't do it. Because what will happen is you'll tell people you took my training, you won't do what you're supposed to, but then you'll tell people that my training sucks because you didn't do what you're supposed to. So then it makes me look bad, it makes you look bad, you wasted your time, you wasted my time. Also for people that think they're going to take this and go on Twitter and get huge results in 2 days, that's not going to happen. But if you use the system and use it consistently, you will get more results than you're getting now. I guarantee that. 100% I guarantee that. If you follow my chunky system, it is 10 times better than whatever you're doing now. And it'll get you more success, attention, retweets, traffic to your blog. You'll build more relationships. You'll spend less time on Twitter so you can do other things. That is a 100% guarantee. Now, my goals with the webinar, number one, I want you to walk away with a smarter, more efficient way to using Twitter. I want you to get into Twitter, do what you have to do, and get out. Whether your goal is getting more retweets, getting more attention, more traffic to your blog or website, or to build your influence, the chunky system will help you do that. My other goal is I want to free up your time. I want you, as great as Twitter is and as social media is to growing a blog or a business, there's 50 other things you should be doing. If you only focus on Twitter, you're hurting your success. I want you to get into Twitter, do what you have to do, find success, get out, free up your time so you can go do those other 30 to 50 things you should be doing, those tasks to grow a blog online or a business online. That's the goal. So a little about me. Some of you know me and know that I had a kidney transplant about 14 and a half years ago. But what you don't know, I had my first kidney transplant when I was 18. As you can see, May 2nd, 3 days before my birthday in 2002. I got that kidney from my mother, and that lasted about 2 years. Kind of stupid kid, kind of mistakes, kind of had a few car accidents. So there's a lot of things combined that caused that kidney to end, but it did. Once that kidney ended, I was put on dialysis, and I was put on dialysis for about 7 years. And those 7 horrible years. Dialysis is horrible. It's manageable, it keeps you alive, it makes you feel semi-decent, but it's just at 20 years old, being in a dialysis with much older people, it's just not a place you want to be. So being on dialysis, the problem is, and if you don't know what dialysis is, basically it does what your kidneys can't do. It cleans out, it removes the water from your blood, and it cleans your blood and the impurities. So it does what your kidneys can't. So you sit there 3 days a week for about 3 hours on the machine. Some days you feel good, some days you don't. So because of that, I wasn't reliable. So I couldn't get a 9-to-5 job because there was days I couldn't go to work. So I wouldn't keep the job anyway. They would fire me because I'm calling out. So knowing I couldn't keep a traditional 9-to-5 job, I decided to go online, look for ways to make money online. At the time, I was getting disability checks, but my disability checks were horrible. They were small, so they didn't pay my bills. Number one, it also made me feel like crap being on disability, getting a check for free, because I've always worked. I've always worked hard my whole life. You know, when I was a kid, my father had a farm, 75 cows, 100 acres of corn. We would plant each year. That's a lot of work. And if you know farming and you know planting corn, the one thing you have to do to get the fields ready for planting corn is you have to go through the fields and manually take out any rocks that are the size of a baseball or bigger, because the machine that plows and sets up for the corn, the rocks get in the way. That is 100 acres of back-breaking work picking up rocks. We used to do that for years and take out 75 cows. Above that, I always had a job. When I was able to have a job and old enough, I always had a part-time job. And in the summer, I would have 2 jobs, because I would have my normal part-time, and my father ran a suit-making factory, and I would work during the summer just doing grunt work in a 200-degree factory in the middle of the summer in New England. So I always, every summer for about 5 years, and I would have 2 jobs. So I always worked. So getting a disability check wasn't for me. I liked working to make money, and my goal was to get online, find a way to make money, first get off that disability check. My other biggest motivator, besides getting off the disability check, was just being able to pay my bills and not being a burden to my family, my parents, and having them to pay for all my bills. And at the time, I was a stupid kid, so I did a lot of stupid shit. So there was a lot of bills. So I had to smarten up and make money different ways, and that's why I came online. Now, when I first started online, I did pretty well. I did multi-level marketing. At first, I sucked at it, and then after a while, I did pretty well with the company I was with. I did really well with eBay selling. I did a lot of affiliate marketing. I was able to get off my disability check. So now I was done with the disability check. So I made enough to live, but I still wanted more. And having that success online, I decided I'm going to start a blog, my jobonaggia.com blog, to show people what I'm doing, how I'm making money online, in case they want to do the same thing and help people, because I know even an extra $200-300 a month would be a big difference in somebody's life. So that was my plan. And at the time of starting the blog, it sucked. I didn't get no traffic, no attention. I had no idea what I was doing. And then around that time is around when I started hearing people talk about Twitter and saying how Twitter is great, gets attention, it's driving traffic to your blog, all these great things. So because it was free and I had nothing else to do, I jumped on Twitter like all day. Literally 5 to 7 hours a day I'd be on Twitter because it was free. And I thought all this attention, all this work was going to bring me all this attention to my blog. The reality is it didn't work. I did it for about 2 to 3 weeks. I was completely obsessed with Twitter. I was spending so much time on it, tracking, paying attention, wondering why I'm not getting retweeted. It drove me crazy for about 3 to 4 weeks. So seeing that, I blamed Twitter. I decided Twitter sucks. I want nothing to do with it. Everybody's lying. So I left Twitter. I didn't go back for almost 2 years. At the time, I was still making money online, but I was just enough to pay my bills. I didn't have extra money for marketing or coaching or courses. I needed free stuff. So I decided I'm going to go back to Twitter because now I'm hearing even more people talk about Twitter. It's now been almost 2 years. A lot of people have success with Twitter and all this stuff. So I was like, all right, I'm coming back. But before I jumped in, I decided to do some work, and I downloaded pretty much every free ebook, free course for an opt-in that I could find online and read it. Problem is, most of the stuff sucked. Most of it didn't work. Some things I got a couple good ideas. Most things I had to change and tweak to fit to work. But a lot of the stuff I learned really was just trial and error. The stuff I read really didn't take me anywhere. So at the time, then I started slowly putting a system together. I started getting a little attention on Twitter. I started getting a little thing. So I put this, that's where the chunky system was created, where I decided share in a certain way where I didn't want to be on Twitter like before. I didn't want to be there for 7 hours a day like I was a few years ago. I wanted to get in, do what I have to do, get attention, and get out. So I did that. And using my chunky system for about 6 months to a year, things exploded. The blog traffic was going great. Retweets on my blog exploded. I was getting maybe 10 to 20. I went to 50 to 150 easily by using the chunky system and just being more efficient on what I share and how I share on Twitter. And at the time, I was sharing correctly. Everything was going great. I put focus into followers. When I came back to Twitter, I had about, 1,200 followers, 2,500 about the second time I came back. So I took that, put focus into followers, and in about 2 years, it was actually about 22 months, but I hit 100,000 followers. Now, 100,000 followers years ago was huge. Only famous people really did that. Today, everybody has 100,000 followers, no big deal. But back then, hitting 100,000 followers was huge. And I did that by using the chunky system to share great content, to share correctly, be efficient, get in, get out. Followers like that. People followed me. My blog was getting attention. All that combined is what got me from 2,500 followers to 100,000 in under 2 years. Now, using Twitter for the past 8 years, I've gone on some good-sized lists because of the attention and the work I do on Twitter. 2013-14, I was on Forbes' top social media power influencers. I was number 6. A couple months ago, I was on number 2 out of 100 top marketing influencers 2016, done by BuzzSumo. I was number 2. And then a few weeks after that, I was number 19 on the top 100 social media marketing influencers, which is great. The lists are great. I've put in a published book because of my Twitter activity. I've been asked to speak at events because of my Twitter activity. It's all great. It all shows that what I'm doing works, and that's really all that matters is the effort I'm putting in, the things I'm doing, I'm getting attention. People are seeing it. Everything is working. Now, for the past probably 6 or 7 years, I've worked with easily over 150 clients. That's bloggers, small business owners, startups, and teaching them basically the chunky system and also how I follow people and basically how I use in the content I share on Twitter. And the reason I did that is I set up my business. My goal was to get off of disability checks and be financially stable to pay my bills. But the other goal was to make sure my business would make me money if I got sick. So right now, the way I've set up my business is probably about 4 to 5 to 6 months, 50% of my income would continue to come in, would cover my bills, and I would have time to get through whatever I was going through. And that is set up because of the work I do on Twitter, the attention I get on Twitter, the work I've put in over 8 years, the way I use Twitter. That combined with my blog is why that's a possibility, where I can possibly walk away for 4 months, not do nothing, and income would still come in. Most would go, but I think for about 5 months, I would have 50% of my income. After that, it would start to dwindle. After about a year, it would probably be gone. But at least I'd have 4 to 5 months of a safety net. And that's, again, due to a lot of the work and the attention I get from Twitter. Now, the same boat I was in back then, I know there's people on the call today that are in the same boat. They go on Twitter. They spend all this time on Twitter. They really have no idea what they're doing. They're just there. They know they have to be there, so they're there. So they're there hours out of the day, but they get no results. You don't know how many people I see on Twitter that have a blog that's like a 10 million Alexa, but yet they're on Twitter all the time. So no traffic. They never get traffic to their blog for years. So why are you on Twitter? It's a complete waste of time. Or the people who have the same 1,000 followers they've had for 5 years. So you're promoting and tweeting to the same 1,000 people you've had for 5 years. They didn't care then. They don't care 2 years ago, and they definitely don't care today. But yet you're still tweeting to the same 1,000 people. It's insane. It's insane to me to have a service like Twitter where you can actively chase people and put yourself in front of people free. And yet these people still will tweet and promote to the same 1,000 people. It's such a waste of time. Because if you actually follow people, use the My Chunky system, shared correctly, shared great content, follow people, you would get 2, 3, 4, 500 new followers every week. That's now, say, 200, 500 new people every week seeing the tweets you share, looking at your profile link, clicking and coming to your blog. That's the reality of if you put the time into Twitter, how fast it can grow your blog and get you results and get you the attention that you're looking for instead of just being on Twitter because you know you should be on Twitter. Now, the Chunky system breaks up into two parts. It's post-day system and a non-post-day system. The way I tweet on a post-day is different than when I tweet on a non-post day. But you need both, because if you only do one post a week, you're really tweeting 5 to 6 days compared on non-post day. So honestly, the non-post day is probably the most important part of it, because it's probably what you do the most. So before we jump into the post-day setup, this is a weird truth that's been truth for over 8 years, actually, that when I tweet, I get more retweets 10 to 20 minutes after the tweet than I did in the first 5 minutes. So if I was to tweet every 5 minutes like a lot of people do, I would lose a lot of my tweets, since most of my tweets come 10 to 20 minutes after the tweet went out. And this is a truth for everybody, even people that I see that tweet my stuff. When I see them tweet my stuff, they initially may get 1 or 2 retweets or a favorite or like, whatever, but then they get more retweets 10, 20 minutes later. So I see it even in other people when they tweet my stuff, it's a reality. So I bet it's the same scenario works for them. So if you tweet too fast, you're actually wasting time. You're hurting your results. So putting more content on Twitter isn't a good thing. It actually will hurt your results, because I guarantee you the reality for you is you probably get more retweets 5 minutes past the 5-minute mark than you do inside the 5-minute mark. So how a Chunky system works, basically, Chunky system is basically I share in chunks to make it easy. A chunk is 4 links, 4 tweets, 3 tweets of other people's stuff, and then the last 4th tweet is always your stuff, whether that's a blog post, a PDF, an ebook, whatever it is, video, it's your stuff. And each tweet is separated by 30 minutes, 30 to 40 minutes. I like to do 35 minutes, but let's do tweet 1 goes out, then 30 minutes later, tweet 2, 30 minutes later, tweet 3, 30 minutes later, tweet 4 goes out. And the reason you do that is you want your chunks to end with your stuff. So when you finish a chunk and say you walk away from Twitter for 2 hours, you want when people come to your stream, the first link they see, the first tweet they see will be your stuff, giving you a better chance for them to click it and visit your blog. Now, I schedule all of this. I use Hootsuite. These tweets, these chunks are all scheduled prior. Makes life much easier, but I only schedule within a few hours. Don't schedule things 2 days in advance, a day in advance. Within 2 hours. I like to schedule my morning chunk and my afternoon chunk in the morning. That way they're only a couple hours apart, that's fine. And then in the afternoon, I reschedule my 2 chunks for the rest of the day. That way the tweets you're sharing, the links you're sharing, are not 2, 3, 4, 5 days old. They're only a few hours old. So it's refreshed content. Your followers will like that. Now, the reason we want each chunk to end with your stuff is we want people to see you. Now, you want to share other people's stuff, and that's great. But when the chunk is sitting there, you want the first thing they see on your stream is your stuff, right? Because it's your stream. So you want them to see your blog post, your video, whatever it is, because that gives you a much better chance of them clicking it and visiting that activity, without visiting that blog or visiting that video. Now, when you're sharing chunks, you want to make sure you're available, right? So if you're sharing a chunk, you want to be available to pop in and reply to any comments or thank yous that come to you from those shares, whether it's from your tweet or from the tweet you shared of somebody else's. You want to pop in for a few minutes, do what you have to do. If there's any activity, reply to it, say thank you, whatever, and then get out. Now, how a chunk works and how much time you can save using this Chunky system is if you tweeted, let's say, 9 a.m., and then your tweet goes out, your second tweet goes out at 9:35. I like to do 35 separated. Some people, 30 is fine. I always do 35. I don't know why. But say 9 a.m., then 9:35, then 10:10, then at 10:45, the last tweet, that is your tweet, your blog post. You know, if you add that up, and then after 10:45, you want to stay for at least a half hour after your tweet to make sure if anybody comments, you want to be real. You want to be engaged. You don't want to look like you're just a robot and automating everything. You're never around. So you want to hang out for about a half hour. So that takes you about 11:15. So you have over 2 hours of activity on Twitter. But in reality, you physically only went on Twitter 15 to 30 minutes. That's it. You only spent a little time on there. So you had 3 hours. Other people, you had almost 2.5 hours of activity, but you physically only went to Twitter 15, 20, 30 minutes. That frees up a huge amount of time. But on Twitter, people see you were active and engaged and busy for almost 2.5 hours. But yet you were really doing other things and only popped in and wasted maybe 15 to 20 minutes. Now that you know how the system works and how it breaks down and how a chunk works, I'm going to show you the difference between post and non-post days. Oh boy. See, first webinar, you got gremlins putting images where they don't belong. All right, this is my blog post day system. Today I have a new blog post. Let's say it's about Twitter tips. I will only share that post for that day in 3 or 4 chunks. So, for example, you got tweet 1, somebody's link, 30 minutes. Tweet 2, somebody's link, tweet 30 minutes later. Tweet 3, 30 minutes later, your tweet with your new blog post. Now, the only difference is when I share that blog post, I want to change the title and the hashtag to make them look different. So you want the blog, when your tweet goes out 4 times that day, you want it to look different but be the same product. So you want it to say the same thing but say it a little differently. So how I would set up those tweets for that blog post for that day would be at the end of chunk 1, I would say 10 Twitter tips you need to know, link, Twitter tips hashtag, social media marketing hashtag. Then when the chunk goes out number 2, I would do the same thing. I would change it up. So I would go, do you know the 10 Twitter tips you must know? So I'd ask a question. Again, Twitter marketing hashtag, a different hashtag. Chunk 3, when it goes out, I would now target bloggers and entrepreneurs. 10 Twitter tips for bloggers and entrepreneurs. Use the blogging entrepreneur hashtag. And then the chunk 4, I would target small business people. 10 Twitter tips to grow your small business. And use hashtags to match. Now I do that because you want the tweet now looks completely different, but it's still the same blog post. And then we're also targeting different people. So we're targeting bloggers, we're targeting small business owners, we're targeting entrepreneurs. We're also targeting asking a question. People who like questions, we ask the question. We also targeted people who like numbers, like 10 Twitter tips you should know. People love that. So we also targeted those type of people. So in those 4 tweets, we've targeted about 5 or 6 different people, giving you a much better chance to get attention to your tweet. I do the same thing with images. I like to change them up. Sometimes I do a funny image. Sometimes I do a dramatic. Sometimes I do a image with text explaining what the post is. It doesn't really matter, but your goal is to change it up so it looks different, but also to target different people again, because not everybody likes a funny image. Not everybody likes a serious image. Not everybody likes text. So if you mix it up, so if you have followers that don't like funny and all your tweets have a funny image, you're hurting your results. So if you mix it up, it gives you a better chance to get that tweet seen and clicked on and getting traffic to your blog. Now, on a non-post day, things change a little bit. So on a non-post day, I pick 2 blog posts from my archives from my blog to share for that day. I also like to share a quote in the morning, in my morning chunk, and I like to share a quote image or a stats image, maybe a blogging stat or social media stats image. Though that image is great for engagement. People love that. They retweet it, so that's great. It gets your account a lot of attention, but frees up a lot of time for you. So it breaks up like this. So if I have 2 blog posts for that day, my first chunk would be somebody's link, tweet a quote, and then post one of the 2 I chose for the day, and then somebody's link. Sometimes I tweet a quote again, sometimes I do another link, and then post 2 of the 2 I chose for that day. And then if I was to do 2 more chunks, I then go back to, at the end of chunk 3, I would do post 1, and at the end of chunk 4, I would do post 2. Now, if I have 2 blog posts, let's say one is about blogging and one's about social media, this is how I would set up my tweets in the chunks. So chunk 1, I would use my blogging post, set up the same way as a post day, link, hashtags, change the title a little bit. At the end of chunk 2, I would do the social media post. Then on chunk 3, I'd go back to the blogging post, change the title, different hashtags. Then chunk 4, go back to the social media post, again, different hashtags, different title. And that way it gives you the best chance. You share each of those 2 posts that day twice, and you tweak them a little bit, giving you a better chance to get people to click them. Now, like I said, I like to share a quote image or a business or social media stat image. And I do that because I can share that between my chunk 1 and 2. And around lunchtime, around 11 to 1 is a good time for that. And I'll do that about an hour and a half after my chunk 1. And then I'll put the image up, and I'll let the image sit there for about an hour and a half to 2 hours because it'll get attention there, and it's doing work for me. I can walk away and go do other things. I can then pop in here and there to reply, but I'm gone. It's pretty much doing work for me for almost 2 hours. So how that would work and how much time you would save, this would be a full day of tweeting. So you start your day, this is non-post day. So you would start your day at chunk at 9 a.m. That chunk ends at, say, 10:45. Hour and a half later, about 12:15, I would share my image quote or my stats quote image. And after chunk 2, that would sit there for an hour and a half to 2 hours. After the image quote, I would start chunk 2 at, say, 2 p.m., and that chunk would end about 3:45. You hang out for a half hour, let's say 4:15. So that comes out to about over 7 hours of activity on Twitter. Yet you physically, by popping in here and there to reply to people, say thank you, or answer any questions or comments, you probably popped in total combined 30 to 60 minutes. So out of 7 hours of activity, maybe 30 to 60 minutes. Even if it was an hour and a half, that's still an hour and a half combined out of 7 hours of activity. That's way more efficient. That's a huge amount of time you now can use to go do other things. You can go build, all the tasks it takes to grow a business or a blog online. There's other things to do besides social media. By freeing up your time like this, that gives you plenty of time to go do other things. Now, to make the chunky system work even better, you want to share quality stuff. And there's certain things you should and shouldn't share. And what you share matters. Because when you share stuff, people don't care that it's not your content. But you share it, it becomes yours. So if it's good, you look good. If it's bad, you look bad. So you have to share quality on Twitter, whether it's your content or not, because at the end of the day, they don't care. People just care that you shared it. You should know better. If it was crap, you shouldn't have shared it. So you want to focus on what you share and the way you share. The way I do it is I like to mix it up. I like to share people's that are lower than me, people that are the same level of me, people that are a little higher than me, and even some big brands, and try to get some exposure. This way, you're building relationships with smaller people, people the same level as you, people a little higher. That's where the relationship building is going to come in. That's where the retweets will come from. The big brand stuff, that's the home run stuff. If you can get a big brand or a big marketer or somebody that you look up to tweet you once in a while, that's great. But don't hope for that. While you're hoping for that, make sure you're building the relationships and sharing stuff for the little guy or the people your level, or even just a little above you, because that's where the relationship building is going to come from. And I like to share, I keep it at about an 80-10-10. Most of my stuff is targeted, 80% targeted, and then share some personal and some random. Share random stuff, it's fine. That's the best way to make people relate to you and connect with you. Like sometimes I share stuff about the gas prices because I care about the gas prices, but it's completely random. I share personal, like that picture you saw of me in a pink onesie. Not cute, but I put it on social media and it killed it. Not something I normally do, but it's personal, it's funny, and it works, and it makes you look real, that you're a normal person. You're not here just business, business, business. They want to know that you're a normal person, and by sharing a little personal and some random, that's how you can do that. Now, the chunky system works well, but it works even better if you pay attention to what you tweet in front of your tweet. So if your tweet at 10 a.m. at the end of that chunk is about Twitter tips, then the tweet at 9:25, right before your tweet, should have nothing to do with Twitter. Because what you do is if you do, then you're cutting your chances of somebody seeing your tweet in half. Because they may see the Twitter tips post that you put out or the Twitter post before yours. And people are busy, right? People don't have time to read 2 blog posts back-to-back about the same topic. That's never going to happen. It's hard enough to get them to read your blog post fully than trying to get them to read 2. So if you share something that's related to your tweet, the chance of them seeing yours is cut in half. And the other things, they may grab the attention. They may click them and go read that. They're never coming back for yours. So now you just lost that. So you want to make sure whatever tweet goes out right before yours has nothing to do with the content that your tweet's about. That way your tweet stands alone, and then it's not competing with nobody. And you got a better chance of people clicking that tweet than looking at 2 or 3 that look the same and then not choosing yours, and you just lost out. Like we talked about, sharing quality content matters. Whether it's yours or not, it doesn't matter. If you share it, it becomes yours, so you make sure you share good stuff. I'm sure there's people you need to read the blog post. I'm sure you also follow people where the people write great stuff. You don't need to read it. You can just share it. But majority of the times, you're going to have to read the content you share to make sure it's good. Because if it's bad, and it's bad consistently, people will stop following you, and they'll stop coming to your account to get any information, because they know that you always share bad stuff. Even if it's not yours, you're sharing it. It makes you look bad. So if you share quality stuff, you'll become a resource. By sharing great content, whether it's yours or other people's, you become a resource. By becoming a resource, people will look for you every day. They want something to tweet, they'll come to your account. John always shares great stuff. I'm going to check what he shared today. John's blog posts are always good. I'm going to go see what new blog posts he has. You become a resource, so they'll come looking for you to get content, whether to share or to read or whatever, because they know you always share great stuff. Now, this is one of my clients from last year, Alexis. She co-owner for Prestige Diesels in the UK. It's a high-end used car dealership. She came to me and she had a plan. She wanted to win the most influential car dealer on Twitter in 2015, and we had like 3 months. So I put a Twitter plan together, including the chunky system, and we were able to raise her clout score from 60 to about 72 in about 2 months. She ended up going on to win. Her score ended up at 79 by the time the 3 months were up. She actually won the award 2015. She also won last year, 2016. She won another award, and she won about 5 other ones related to what these awards are, all because of the plan we put together, the attention we put in, and her putting the work in to do what I told her, and actually doing what I told her, putting the time in, and combined, she was able to win all those awards, which is pretty cool. And she's still winning them. And she beat out people like Porsche for the most influential car dealer. She beat out Porsche, Mercedes, a lot of other huge dealers in the UK. They weren't even close to her score. So she killed them. She didn't just beat those big brands. She was way ahead, which is kind of cool. Now, after 9 years, I'm finally putting a Twitter course together, a Twitter training. Everything I've learned in the last 9 years is going to be shoved into this training. And I'm doing a live training because I think I'd rather have the support, give the people the support as they're learning. So if they have a question, we can deal with it right there so they can get the most out of my training. And I think it also gives them accountability, because now you have students and myself who you have to come to every week and tell me what you did. So if you don't do stuff, it motivates you to take action on what you're learning so you can see results and you don't get lazy. So I think the live training is the best way to go. So what I'm going to do is going to be a 12-week live training program. Each training will be 60 to 90 minutes long. What we'll do is we'll start each training with a Q&A to make sure there's no questions from the prior training, so we can start the new training fresh. And then we'll end each training with a Q&A to make sure they understand what was taught in the new training. So the training breaks down into 12, and the content that will be in each training will be, the first one will be how to set up the perfect Twitter profile. Now, the perfect Twitter profile, you would think it's a beginner thing, but there's so many people who've been here for so long that still don't use their profile. They don't have a pinned tweet. They don't have a header. They don't have a good profile. They don't have a good profile image. Nothing. And that's the first thing people look at when they come. So even though it seems like a circa 2000 training, but it's not, because there's so much more you can do with a Twitter training profile now, and you have to use it correctly, and we're going to teach you that. We're also going to teach you how to create a Twitter email funnel. You hear people talking about email funnel where you give something away for free, people go through your email, blah, 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 and then you come out the other end with a sale. We're going to do the same thing, but with Twitter. I'm going to show you how to use Twitter to give something away, drive traffic from Twitter through the email system, and make a sale at the end. Also going to teach you how to use Twitter ads as part of your daily strategy. Small amounts of money, but using it consistently and every day to move your content forward instead of spending huge budgets. Also going to show you a way to make direct money on Twitter. You don't even need a blog for that. You don't need a blog. I prefer you have a blog, but if you don't have a blog, this system is going to teach you how you can make money on your Twitter account if you have some followers. And I'm going to teach you the tricks on, even if you don't have followers, you can still get attention and still make money for the people who want to make some quick money. The thing we're going to do, we're going to teach you how to use the advanced search on Twitter better to find better content and more influencers. We're going to teach you how to create a content strategy. Knowing the content you're sharing on Twitter, you have to know why you're sharing it and a strategy to what you share and how you share it and when you share it. We're going to help you with that. We're going to help you how to take the chunky system and throw it on steroids, because I'm going to teach you something that combines to the chunky system that makes it work even better. I'm going to teach you some SEO techniques to boost your profile. Now that you can get your profile seen for a specific topic. Like for me, my profile is mainly blogging and Twitter marketing. You can get your profile now ranked in Google, indexed in Google. So we're going to teach you how to get your profile to rank that way, but also rank on Twitter. So when people punch in whatever keyword you want, you're one of the top profiles that they see. How to effectively find real and active people. There's tools that you can use. The problem with the tools out there that find followers for you, they only look at numbers. So if they say Sue gets 200 retweets per blog post, the tool is going to tell you that Sue in that niche is the most influential person in that niche you should follow. But the reality is, if you go to Sue's profile, all the tweets she gets are completely fake. They're from fake accounts. She buys fake followers. They're all from fake accounts. So the tool doesn't see that. The tool tells you she's the perfect person to follow, but in reality, she can't get any engagement. It saved her life. She doesn't get a tweet. She can't get anything. It's the last person you should actually follow, not the first person, but yet the tools don't teach you that. I'm going to teach you how to find people correctly, use the tools combined with the old school doing it by hand, and how to find real people, quality followers that you can follow, active followers in any niche. I'm also going to teach you how to use Twitter for affiliate marketing and teach you how to use affiliate marketing and sell affiliate products on Twitter. Blog preferred. You don't need a blog also for this, but it works. The strategy works better if you have a blog. We're going to teach you how to do that and make some money. And then also Twitter Live is out now. We're going to teach you how to use Twitter Live better and how to use that in your everyday strategy also, your content strategy, and how to get more attention using Twitter Live. And then we're going to throw up 3 bonus videos. One is auto DMs. I use auto DMs. I've always used auto DMs. They work very, very well to drive traffic to your blog. People don't care about the auto DM. What they care about is what you send them in the auto DM. If you send them a Facebook invite when you just met them, bad. If you're sending them to download your ebook when you just met them, bad. But if you just say, hey, I'm John Aguiar, here's a link to my About Me page on my blog if you want to learn more about me. No email opt-in, just go read more about me. Or I also send a page, since I do a lot of Twitter posts, I have a page where people come on Twitter, they go to the Twitter, I send them to the Twitter page where it's just no opt-in again, just Twitter posts where they can start reading. I'm giving content. I'm helping. People do not care. They don't mind those type of auto DMs. I've used them forever, and I still use them. I will continue to use them because they work. I'm also going to teach you some of the tools that I use every day that make life a lot easier on Twitter. I mentioned Hootsuite, great tool. Chunky system. I use Hootsuite to schedule all of that. And also how to set up a Twitter landing page correctly and how well that works and what to put and what not to put on a landing page that gets you results. And that's it. So that's basically the 12 live trainings. And again, I'm going to do 2 payment options for people to help them out. Paid in full is $497, 6 months payments of $97. You'll have 12 live trainings, 60 to 90 minutes each, with Q&A in the front and back. Because it's a super early bird special, I'm going to give you a discount of 20%, which paid in full drops it down about $100, and in the 6 month on the first payment drops it down about $20. Anybody who buys in the next 7 days, I'm going to give them a custom Twitter evaluation. Look at your Twitter account, see what we can fix, and get you on the right track. And then anybody who buys and paid in full, the $497, I'm going to give you, in the next 7 days, I'm going to give you a free 6 minutes one-on-one with me where we can talk about, anything, whether it be Twitter, business, blogging, whatever. I'm going to give that to the first 10 people who buy that. That is a $200 value. The Twitter evaluation is a $150 value. If you choose to buy, you got a 30-day money-back guarantee. You just type in, it's not clickable, but type in the order tweet like an entrepreneur.com, and make sure at checkout you use the code EARLYBIRDSPECIAL no matter what payment option you choose. Now, all of this only lasts 7 days. You have from the Twitter, the 20% discount lasts 7 days. So in the next 7 days, the page is going to get closed because we're going to do the launch of the product in a few weeks. So you have 7 days to choose to still get the discount. And also to get the first 10 people, you might want to rush. So you're one of the 10. If you want to get on the phone with me for 60 minutes one-on-one, then make sure you do that as quick as you can, since 10 is a low number. So a few testimonials from past clients. Sandra Zarate is an author from her book Precision Marketing. She said, in addition to being a proven authority on Twitter. John Paul is incredibly ethical, pragmatic, flexible, and fun to work with. I highly recommend him for anyone who wants to get socially savvy by learning from his experience. He is generous in sharing his knowledge, which is great. Sandra's awesome. MJ Gottlieb, he is also an author of How to Ruin a Business. He's also friends, and I believe he's working with Damon John from Shark Tank now. He said when he started on Twitter several years ago, he knew nothing. He started following me, started reading my blog and getting my advice, and eventually we connected. If you need an effective Twitter strategy that actually produces results, you can't find a more qualified person. So thank you to MJ for that. So the point is, I've worked with people before. I've helped people before. My trainings, content, and the trainings I've done for years are helpful. So what you want is we have a 30-day money-back guarantee. On the checkout page, I have a chat button. If you have any questions when you get to the checkout page and you have any questions or concerns, write me. I'm the one that's going to reply to those chats, so you'll be talking to me also. But if you want to do it privately, not on the webinar, we can talk directly there. But again, the bonuses end in 7 days. You know, early bird special, 20% discount, save $100. Everybody who buys custom Twitter evaluation, $150 value. And then for the first 10 people buy the full price, a 60-minute one-on-one with me where we can talk about anything you like. That's a $200 value. I hope that works. I hope that webinar was helpful, and I hope you guys take the Chunky system, start using it. I think it's a great system. I've used it. It works. If you use it, it'll work really well for you. But make sure you use it consistently. And if you have any questions, you can reach me out at Twitter at John Aguiar or email me at johnpaul@johnpaulaguiar.com. Any questions? All right, that's it.